This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. One thing you gotta know about me is I love Chicago. I've been living here for nearly 8 years now and consider it the greatest city I've ever been to, which is why it's been an absolute treat to see the city get so much love thanks to one of the biggest shows in the world right now, The Bear, even if I only just now watched it for the first time. That's right, I've slept on The Bear for a very long time. A bunch of my friends even worked on the damn thing, and that still wasn't enough to get me to sit down and watch it. I'll embarrass myself even further. A reason why is that when it comes to shows, I can only be knee-deep in one show at a time, and for the last few years, Succession took up all the space in my heart when it came to television. And The Bear, from the outside, looked too soft around the edges for what I was itching for at the time. Then I watched literally the first 15 minutes of the pilot and realized there is, or I should say was, nothing soft about this show. But I will say, Season 1 of The Bear is a breeze to watch. It's so easy to put on and incredibly difficult to turn off. It has a brilliant blend of community and dramatic tension that keeps you coming back for more in the most toxic yet alluring way. Behind this formula is a pretty standard structure for a series of television. While it takes some risks here and there and has fun with episode structure, Season 1 of The Bear is serviceable in my opinion and a good enough time. Season 2, though, I was, like with any great season, put off at first by how different Season 2 felt from Season 1. Something shifted. There lacked a sense of community, but at the same time, there was much more complexity to each character, which I loved. Already in the first episode, it felt as though they were taking more risks with the direction, a lot of playful choices. Rather than leaning into the iconic style of alarms going off and crash zooms into clocks and yelling "Yes, chef" every 10 seconds, it was experimenting with other, more quiet styles. Throw all that over a unique season structure, a countdown to the opening of the restaurant, giving it the freedom to do episodes focused entirely on specific characters, and you have a pretty damn good season of TV, a pretty unique season of TV. It gave me a little bit of everything: phenomenal character building, great humor, a killer finale that clears any other episode in the show by a long shot, yes, even fishes, and most importantly, tons of authentic Chicago restaurant references. Shout out to Superdog, even though I know that's technically Niles. So I was ready for Season 3, and it sure is something. To describe the overarching plot of Season 3 would be a damn near impossible task. It was a vibe. Right? They went vibe mode. Episode 1 alone is just one giant montage, a glamorized recap, but don't think for a second that I'm calling it bad. I loved it. It was like I was under some sort of hypnosis, the way the same chords in the score repeated over and over again, but gradually shifted throughout. An edit of this episode using 3 by Aphex Twin might just be enough to put me out of my misery. But that episode specifically is obviously way more than just vibes. It sets the tone pretty well for this season, being stuck in the past, struggling to move forward even when you've succeeded. Basically just depression. I think in this way, I really admire what this is going for. I think it's a fascinating and challenging season on paper. I don't know if it makes for the best TV, though. The Bear is known for its unpredictable episode structures. Again, one of the biggest appeals of Season 2 was the way it was able to make episodes that follow only one character feel part of the larger timeline, and make those individual stories really interesting. When you're watching The Bear, you never really know what you're going to get in each episode. But a general rule that I've come to learn is that it's safe to assume if you've been in the same room for the first 5 minutes, just know that is where you're going to spend the rest of the episode. In Season 2, this was a very unexpected and most of the time welcomed surprise. Realizing we were about to watch Marcus in Copenhagen for an entire episode was truly very exciting to me. Same goes for the Richie episode, the Sydney episode, and then there's obviously Fishes. And Season 3 follows the same formula, with a really nice episode directed by Io herself that gives Tina some much needed backstory, as well as an undeniably well-acted Natalie and Donna episode in the hospital. At this point, every character gets their own episode, and that being said, I am on my knees begging for an Uncle Jimmy episode next season. Please, the people need Uncle Jimmy. And way less based on what I've seen online, and I try not to go online too much while watching, I guess I'm not alone in being burnt out on the facts. I've grown to really like Matty Matheson, but I'm gonna put him on the other side of the pan and cook his ass for a second. Most of these dudes' dialogue adds almost nothing to the show. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just improv, and it's bad improv. If you cut together all of these empty fact scenes, you'd probably have enough to fill the length of an entire episode. That is too much time. My theory is they needed to balance it out with more facts so that it can still technically qualify as a comedy, but come on, man. There are so many other opportunities to build character, especially if this is a moodier season. So why are we wasting time here? That is the one thing about The Bear that has really come to annoy me. If something's not working and it keeps going on, you're just gonna have to sit there and take it for the next, who knows, 15 minutes? There's an admittedly wholesome scene in the finale of the season where it's just a bunch of chefs talking about their experiences. And it's sweet, don't get me wrong, but it goes on for like half the episode, and I got very little out of that. This season was, in general, very chill. There was no urgency to anything. They're writing these episodes as if they got like 20 seasons left in the tank. It gives them room to experiment, sure, and a lot of the time those experiments work. They proved to work a lot in season 2, but I have to be real. Season 3 was the first time I had to confront the fact that just because I'm watching something new doesn't necessarily mean I'm watching something good. A quick detour. Let's talk about BoJack Horseman. BoJack is one of the best shows I've ever seen because it sneaks up on you. What starts as a standard cartoon with dark humor slowly morphs into one of the most depressing shows out there. And when it goes weird, it really hits because they tease you with that weirdness the whole time. I don't want to name the specific weird episodes I'm talking about, but if you've seen the show, you know what I mean. The Bear wanted to make a weird season. Forget just one episode. And frankly, this moodier approach only works when it's earned. It needs to feel surprising. If everything is moody, nothing is. Episode 1 was such a delight because the choice to kick off a season like that after winning so many Emmys is frankly insane. That is a bold choice, and I respect the hell out of it. I, again, really loved that first episode. But the deeper into the show you get, you're waiting to be pulled out of the sludge, but there's no reason to come out. There's a lack of direction. And I think the season falls a little bit short because of this. Halfway through, I did get bored. I have to be honest. Speaking mostly about episodes 4, 5, and 8, I really felt like I wasn't watching anything. It's cute, it's touching. Again, there are aspects to what's going on here that I find really interesting. It's a smarter show than it appears on the surface. I'll praise it in a second, I promise. But I did feel bored. I have to say that. That's how I felt. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. It is a season about depression and finding purpose, right? Carmy has his restaurant, but is empty without love in his life. Marcus has a dream job, but without his mother to share it with. Richie, also alone. Everybody's lonely and depressed, and that's great. It's not great, but it's movement. It's a new direction. It adds a new texture to the show. I like that it isn't sappy. It's real. Is it compelling television? Not really, but it is a bold and meaningful choice at the end of the day. Listen, you can't use the depression thing as an excuse for why the show was bland, but it does give it reason for why it moves this way. The show, like its characters, is lost and uncertain. Carmy got his restaurant. The Bear got its Emmys. Carmy can't stop thinking about the past, and the show can't seem to stop using flashbacks. I consider the season 2 finale such a masterpiece because it summed up one of the core themes of the show in a really simple and powerful way. That theme being the questioning of if suffering is necessary to be successful. The show is about a lot of things, but I do see its assessment of grind culture and the idea that you cannot be happy and successful at the same time to be its most touching angle. Season 2 spoilers, I'm assuming everyone's seen it if you're watching this video. Carmy is literally put in a freezer, reduced to no more than a piece of frozen meat, forced to reckon with his own actions without the ability to do anything about it. He blames Claire for what happened, implying she only gets in the way. Judging by the reactions of fans and even friends and family I've talked to, Claire was made out to be a villain in the second season, only now realizing in the third season that she's a completely normal person. People hated that character, and I don't think we were supposed to. Intentional or not, the show dipped so far into Carmy's inner psyche that they kind of needed an entire season to decompress. And now I'm going to talk about the season 3 finale, so if you haven't seen it, is spoiler alert. Okay. My favorite scene comes at the end of this season, a scene between Carmy and an abusive chef he used to work with, played by Joel McHale. It's the best acting I've seen from Jeremy Allen White so far in the show. You can actually see how shaky and red his face gets, how small, desperate, and powerless he feels in that moment. It's a frustrating and mostly embarrassing scene for Carmy, but it provides a sense of closure that he was seeking the entire season. It gave him some direction. I wish the show didn't take a season to get here, but it's weirdly the most moved I've been by anything in the show so far. I really liked this scene. The Bear is far from my sweet baby darling Succession. It isn't supposed to be a tragedy. It's a show about persistence. Unlike the Roy siblings, I want to see these guys succeed. And I think the show would agree with me. And for these characters to find success, fulfillment, and happiness, there needed to be a season like this one. the therapy season, if you will. Even if, I'll say it one more time, it doesn't make for the most compelling TV. It isn't a cliffhanger ending. They don't jack themselves off with an applause sound effect over the credits like they did in the first season, but it does end on a note that makes me incredibly eager to see where the story goes and where it hopefully concludes. And that's what I have to say. Thanks for watching. Go watch The Bear and form your own opinion. And before you head out, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. You can start a completely personalized website with their new guided design system, Squarespace Blueprint, which allows you to choose from professionally curated layout and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up, tailored for your brand or business and optimized for every device. It allows you to easily launch that website of yours and get discovered fast with their integrated optimized SEO tools, so you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. If you're a filmmaker or someone that just makes videos, you're going to love their video collection feature, which allows you to upload video content, organize your video library, and showcase your content on beautiful video pages. And my personal favorite part is their visual design tools. You can grow credibility and engage visitors with an unrivaled suite of visual design effects built in and ready to go on any Squarespace website. Just look at how good that looks. You can create your own online aesthetic with dozens of modern and intuitive options. You can go to squarespace.com to start your free trial, and when you're ready to launch that beautiful website, go to squarespace.com/Karsten to get 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching this video, and goodbye.